I can do a lot of damage, but I'm not going to do it. Instead, I'm going to use whatever I'm given, whatever resources, strength, intelligence, anything I have to make people more secure. The vulnerable get to be more secure. That's gentleness.
All right, Brant, we're talking about real love and how this can be understood in the context of manhood. You talk about kindness, though, as well, and you say the world is starved for seasoned, others-centered men who can offer guidance and deep kindness. Go for that.
Definitely. I feel a little bit ripped off. I smile when I say it, but I sort of do. By the number of older guys who are still needy, like they still are insecure, and it can almost bleed insecurity. I see this a lot. I also see a lot of older guys that are stuck on news channels all day, worked into a frenzy. They're anxious, they're angry, and they should have been the people that we look at and they have wisdom and patience and they're able to just listen and offer insight, but they're so worked up by the news. Like I just think it's too bad. Like I want to grow into that though. I want to grow into that sort of guy. And that means I have to put my attention on the right things because my attention is determining who I'm becoming, where I put my attention.
Yeah.
So gentleness it's in short supply and wisdom certainly is.
Man, I didn't quite understand that phrase until you were talking about it. And as I'm thinking about it, I'm very blessed to have a dad who he's a couple hours away. So I got to call him, right? But when I call him, I can say, Dad, here's what I'm dealing with. And a lot of times he'll just listen. And if I say, Dad, I really need to just get this off my chest, he's not going to come right away with advice. He's just going to listen to me. But what I realize in him is that aspect of kindness now as I see it. And man, I strive to be the same way. When I have other men in my life who are trying to struggle, I tend to be empathetic and want to feel with them, right? That I think is looked at as unmasculine in many cases. And yet, like you mentioned, it's so necessary, right?
It totally is. And it means I've got the power, and we all do verbally, to cripple people.
Oh yeah.
But we're not going to do it.
Right.
Like I could cut my wife to ribbons. She could do the same thing to me, but I'm also physically stronger. Like I can do a lot of damage, but I'm not going to do it. Instead, I'm going to use whatever I'm given, whatever resources, strength, intelligence, anything I have to make people more secure. The vulnerable get to be more secure. That's gentleness. Wow. There's something actually extremely masculine about that. Like having that sort of power and using it to defend and build up. I told my son when he was I think he was 9, and he was picking on his little sister. And I came in the back room because she was like, Justice, like saying his name, like, quit. And I was like, what's going on? And he was picking on her.
Right.
And I said something that I didn't really think about that much at the time, but I said, Jess, you're supposed to defend your little sister. But now you're the problem. I have to defend her against you.
Wow.
You have a job and you betrayed your job. Well, okay, so guys need to hear that. The weird thing was, I don't remember having that problem again with him. I think it clicks with young boys. If you say you have a role in this family is to make people more secure, you don't pick on your sister. No, the exact opposite. They understand that instantly. I think it's so much a part of the male heart at its best that we just instantly resonate with it. The second thing I wanted to point out, because this wasn't from my book, it was another book, but I put it in my book with attribution. A guy was talking about how he used to pat himself on the back for saying, if an intruder came into my home, I would defend my wife. I would do whatever it takes, And then he realized that doesn't happen very often. He said, usually the intruder is me. It's my word. It's my words. It's my sarcasm with my wife, or a little put down, or a lack of blessing. Like you can even just pause, and that can be a curse to your wife. She's like, I love you, and you pause. I love you too. I mean, it could just be an intonation, but it you're the intruder now that she has to be protected from.
Wow.
And when that guy said that, I'm like, that is so true. I had to change my own approach to be kinder in my own. I need to be the kindest to my wife, the most polite, amp it up, not to strangers. She should feel totally secure with me. And to the extent that she does, as a matter of fact, she finds me really attractive. It's funny, like, it's a nice, like, it's not a vicious cycle, a virtuous cycle. It's actually a beautiful thing. But that's the gentleness that I'm talking about. It's a proactive thing where it's like, I am not going to be the intruder. I'm going to be her defender.
This episode of Rapid Response was brought to you by CTC Math. Visit them at ctcmath.com today.